Man on a Rampage, the second part of the very famous Master Planner trilogy, appeared in Spider-Man Comics Weekly number 26, Saturday 28th of July 1973. Cover dated a week later, but the date on the cover was when they took them off sale. American comics are published monthly. British comics have always been published weekly, I suppose because England is smaller than America. So Spider-Man Comics Weekly had burned through the first 3 years of Amazing Spider-Man, 1964, 65, 66, in little more than 6 months. So the classic period of my childhood, the era when every Saturday morning brought a new Spider-Man comic, and every Spider-Man comic was more breathtaking than the one before, sequences of new villains, Betty Brant, Flash Thompson. That turns out to have begun in February 1973 with The Menace of Mysterio, and ended in August with the final chapter of the Master Planner trilogy. 20 weeks, 5 months, my 9th spring.
The largest iron unit of all beginning to slide down towards me. It must outweigh a locomotive, I'll be crushed.
That last week of July was the first week of the summer holidays. The novelty of not being at school hadn't quite had a chance to turn into boredom. Gary Glitter was top of the charts. Peters and Lee were number 2. David Bowie was number 3. Of course, David Bowie is now revered. His death was the occasion for national mourning. The name of Gary Glitter, we can't even say. And who's even heard of Peters and Lee? Funny how things turn out. Of course, I was a musical Puritan. Leader of the gang was not proper music because it didn't have a tune. I don't know what I thought did have a tune. Tie a yellow ribbon round the old oak tree, I suppose.
I can't stop it, but maybe I can slow it down with my webbing.
Grandad always bought me my Spider-Man comic on a Saturday evening. He also brought us sweets in a brown paper bag. Not the Texan bars and chewits you could get anywhere, but those old-fashioned sweets from special shops that only grandfathers knew about. That week, I think it was one of those round, hollow rings of hard toffee with peanuts stuck in them. The sort of thing you could very easily break your teeth on. Grandad smoked cigarettes and talked to Daddy about England and the West Indies at the Oval. Neither of my parents smoked, and at school smoking would have been so unthinkable no one even really bothered to ban it. After Grandad left, we had tea. This was when I'd formed the conviction that the most sophisticated food in the world was the cheese and Branston pickle sandwich.
It's no use. It's like trying to stop a battleship with a slingshot. I can't get out of the way in time. But by twisting and turning, I might place myself under that small hollowed out area.
After tea, we would watch television. Dad's Army and the Saturday Western would have violated our unspoken rule against anything involving guns or war or soldiers. I think I was allowed to stay up to watch the Mike Yarwood show. I didn't really understand who Edward Heath was, but I got that it was funny when he laughed and shook his shoulders.
I did it. I saved myself from being crushed, but even my great strength can't lift this thing off me.
Sunday morning, we went to church. The regular minister, we were Methodists, we called them ministers, was on his summer holiday. So one of the lay preachers some lady with a very posh accent. She led the service. This gave Daddy the excuse to tell us what Samuel Johnson had said about a dog walking on its back legs. He always did. The Sunday school classes have been rolled into one big class for the summer holidays. We had to colour in a picture of the soldiers risking their lives because King David wanted a glass of water from his favourite well. He was so touched that he poured the water on the ground, you remember. That was one of Miss Bugden's favourite stories at school, so I already knew it. I don't know what religious significance it had, I still don't, really. I thought colouring in was very much beneath me.
I see the violet serum, just ahead of me, and it might as well be on another planet. I can't reach it from here, and even if I could, what good would it do?
We had roast lamb for Sunday dinner. Daddy didn't particularly like chicken. I picked mint leaves from the garden, but whole mint leaves stirred round with some sarsons, malt vinegar and a spoonful of brown sugar never really made a very convincing mint sauce. So it was not until 2 o'clock on Sunday afternoon that I actually began to read Spider-Man Comics Weekly number 26. The one with the cliffhanger. The one with the cliffhanger.
I can't bear the thought of failing Aunt May, who I once failed Uncle Ben. Wait. What's that? Drops of water fall from the ceiling? It's a slow leak, but it's getting faster. Each drop seems to be getting bigger. If it doesn't stop, the whole river will come surging through.
The carpet of my bedroom is mustard yellow, rather threadbare. Curtains are grey with a floral pattern. My Foom poster is on the wall. With Stanley's text, "Hang loose, so faithful ones." Surrounded by pin-up pages, sacrificially ripped out of the comic itself. I think there were also Womble posters. There are sheets and blankets and an old-fashioned bedspread on my bed. Duvets, continental quilts, are like garlic and spaghetti. Only incredibly pretentious people have them. Lined up on the bed are the stuffed toys. The penguin, the 2 surviving teddy bears, and, oh yes, God forgive me, the gollywog. This was before action figures, before Cyborg and Muton, but there were Red Indians. Yes, we called them Red Indians. They were engaged in an epic tribal conflict in one corner of the room. Marvel had gone mad with generosity and was running a competition for which the prize was £1 a week pocket money for a year. Now, Mars bar cost 3pence. Spider-Man comic cost 5p, which, as the grown-ups never stopped reminding us, was a whole shilling in old money. So £1 a week for a year was on a level with magical lamps and fairy godmothers. Marvel was still trying to sell Foom membership packs to anyone who didn't already have one. Findus was offering free tickets to see The Sword and the Stone in return for 3 lids of packets of magic mousse. And Chiver's Jelly claimed to be giving away real dinosaur fossils in return for a rather more ambitious 18 box tops. I've actually checked on eBay, and it does look as if you sent off your 18 box tops, you did get actual little fossils. And always, there was someone who wanted to sell us kids stamps on approval.
I can't just stay here and wait for the end. I've got to try and get free. If I can only lift this weight off me, then I can't budge it. Not an inch. It's no use. I'm too exhausted. I've been on the go for days. Perhaps if I rest for a while.
I continue to read Spider-Man for decades, into the Tom McFarlane era at least. And there will be other idols. A Planet of the Apes comic arrived on the back of the television show in 1974. It had an adaptation of the Charlton Heston movie from the original script. So grown up and sophisticated that you actually caught a glimpse of a naked man's backside. 1975, there was a Silver Surfer comic with the Stanley John Buscema issues, which seem very profound when you're 9. 76 was the first ever British superhero, the first British Marvel superhero, imaginatively called Captain Britain. His comic was actually printed in colour and written by Chris Claremont. I didn't know any better. And the next year there came the Eternals. First time I was consciously aware of Jack Kirby. And some movie or other was at the cinemas. I didn't realise it straight away, of course, but I was no longer a Spider-Man fan. I was a comic book fan. After number 26, If This Be My Destiny, and on a Rampage, the final chapter, the one with the cliffhanger, Spider-Man was never as good again.
I failed. Just when it counted the most, I failed.
Down